how did you guys even start Amazon FBA? What was your first product like? Take us from the journey of, hey, we should give Amazon FBA a shot.
I would say at this point, Amazon FBA has done the rounds. And that's really what we found on Amazon was that it was leveraged. Like it was something that we could build. And after some time, it could be very passive, not completely, but it could be highly leveraged with our time.
So I like the fact that you're using the term leveraged income, because I think that is a better, more realistic definition, because you're leveraging your time and you're leveraging the money you're putting in and you're leveraging your abilities and your assets.
I think I heard through a podcast actually about Amazon FBA. So most people know what it is, but if you aren't familiar, it stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. And it's basically like Amazon offers it to anyone. And basically Amazon says, hey, you can ship us your inventory and then you can list it on Amazon. And when an order comes in, we'll pack it up and ship it to the customer. Just pay us a fee. And so when I heard that, and I had been packing orders every night and putting on labels and doing trips to the postal office, I was like sold.
How did you promote it? Because Amazon, I mean, there's millions of products on there. And I think what you're getting into is you have to bid for the keywords. So if somebody goes into Amazon, starts typing in a keyword, you want your results there. And so you got to pay Amazon to be listed near the top of those results, right?
Yeah, you got it. That's really like our method in like a really short nutshell is we just look for where's their demand and we just like supply that demand and we make it better.
So at one point you said, hey, this is working great for us. Why don't we teach other people how to do it?
I found that I just learned best by teaching, just by like working it out. So I just started a free Facebook group and I was just like, hey, anyone who wants to learn this thing, I'm just going to I'm not an expert. I'm just like a couple chapters ahead. I'll just share what I know. That was once we started seeing the impact of like, okay, when people actually do this, it can really work. And we just started sharing with friends, started sharing with friends of friends, friends of friends of friends. And before we knew it, we had a coaching program, right? And it was a thing.
Realistically, how long does it take to set up an Amazon business?
Yeah, I would say our average student timeline is about 9 months, 8 to 9 months. We have seen people go really fast. We've seen people do 4 months, but usually if they're doing really fast like that, usually they have some sort of connection.
And how much money does someone need to start one of these? Because I imagine you got to pay for inventory upfront.
I would say in today's day and age, like to really win on Amazon, it's nice if you have like 15 to 25, to be honest. Regardless of the money, if you want to do anything, resourcefulness is the key.
This is the Money Seed Podcast, where we discuss all things investing, plain and simple, the way it should be. Please remember, this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be investment advice.
Welcome back to the Money Seed Podcast. My guest today is Steven Diaz. Steven found success through Amazon FBA, and he's now on a mission to help others do the same. Steven, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here, man. I'm happy to geek out on Amazon anytime.
Steven, there's been a lot of talk about Amazon FBA. I think there's been a lot of people who tried it, and there's been a lot of people who found success through it. How did you guys even start Amazon FBA? What was your first product like? Take us from the journey of, hey, we should give Amazon FBA a shot, and from the time that you actually went and you found success and you started to scale.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to dive into it. I would say there are a lot of people. I mean, I would say at this point, Amazon FBA has done the rounds, when it comes to you're getting ads online, that type of thing. And anyone that's telling you it's just a walk in the park, they're definitely not being truthful, right? So I'll keep it real with you guys today. There is a lot of money still to be made there, but you got to do things right. And we definitely have learned through doing things wrong many times. So I can definitely share not just the highlight reel, but also the downfalls. So how we got into it, my wife and I, we were in the wedding industry. So we were wedding photographers and videographers. We started that business like in college, basically. I was a film major. I was studying to go to Hollywood and do that whole thing. I worked on a couple sets and I was just like, okay, this is not for me. Like it was intense. And like the path to success in Hollywood was so long, right? You had to like work your way up the ladder. And I was just like, we lived in a small town outside of my college town, right? So I moved back to the small town and there was not a lot of great video people there. So it was really easy to just like immediately go to the top, right? So we ranked number 1 on Google and we built a really successful like video and photo business, my wife and I. But that business is what we like to call level 1, right? Level 1 opportunities are where you are the person doing the thing, right? Like, and they'll always be limited because even if you're a brain surgeon, right, you have to use your physical being to make money. And so if you have to be there to make money, you always have a ceiling, right? You have a ceiling. So we started actually really hitting that ceiling with that business. And there are ways you can scale that type of business, but we just were finding that we were looking for something else. And this was early in our marriage. And we were really dreaming about starting a family and having kids, but every Saturday we'd be driving to weddings and then recovering on Sundays and starting editing on Mondays. And it was just intense. We had a season we shot, I think it was 43 weddings in one season. So like a season's not even a whole year. It's just kind of like the summer season. So it was like 8 weddings in May, just like Friday, Saturday. And we didn't outsource editing or anything at the time. So we just got slammed. We got burnt out. People stopped calling us. And we really were like, okay, something needs to change, right? So that's really what put me on the side hustle quest. And I kind of, you hear passive income. I think I read 4-Hour Work Week early in our business. And I was just like, that was the dream, right? I want to passive income, sit on the beach and money comes to me, And so I kind of went on that journey chasing the mythical unicorn of passive income. And to be honest, like I just bought everything. I joined webinars, I bought the programs. I just like tried everything. And there was a lot of stuff that like kind of worked, right? And that was like the frustrating thing, that it was like, it all kind of worked. And I definitely kind of prided myself in being kind of that serial entrepreneur, right? I got 8 businesses, but looking back, I could see that we were actually just more and more overextending ourselves. And, our business now is called the Rainmaker Family. And I love this name of the podcast, The Money Seed, because we use a ton of gardening analogies. Chelsea's more the gardener in our family, but I just really believe money does act a lot like seeds. And also there's so much wisdom we can take from nature. And in that season, we read this book and it was talking about how a vine overextended will just start growing sticks. And it was talking about your capacity, right? And, vines only have so many nutrients. So if they overextend themselves, they will stop growing fruit. And really, me and Chelsea in that season really felt like that vine, right? That was overextended, overworked, overwhelmed. And there was not really fruit being produced anymore. There was no more like results. And so what do you do when you have a vine that's overextended, just growing sticks? You have to trim back, right, to the fruit, right? You trim back, you look like, where was the fruit? You have to go back to that and kind of trim to that thing. And so really that's what we did in that season. We had a bunch of side hustles. We had the wedding business. We were, doing a lot of things with our time. And our nutrients were just so spread thin. We really cut back to like, where were we seeing a little bit of results? And at that time, it was the wedding business was still going strong, but we had one of those side hustles where we were selling these little wooden toys on Amazon. I don't know if you share the video. Well, I guess you do on YouTube. I have one on the shelf there. That's what it's called, a kendama. And it's like a Japanese yo-yo that like, it's like a ball and cup. You kind of like try to catch the ball in the cup. And so we started, this is like just one of those random things. We were kind of just selling them on Instagram. It was kind of a trend at the time. And that was the thing we really leaned into. And I think the aha moment where we were like, okay, we need to really think about like how we could focus on this more was sitting at a wedding. We were in Northern California where it was 100 degrees plus at this wedding. And as a wedding photographer, you only really get like one break and it's during dinner, right? And it's a quick break. But you can usually go hide in the corner and eat your food because like it's awkward to sit at a table with guests. You kind of just go eat in the corner. And that's the one time you might pull out your phone and check it because it's just a very fast-paced day. And I remember after selling these, we actually put the product on Amazon because they would do the shipping and the handling and all that stuff for you. And that day, like we actually made more on Amazon selling these products than we had made at the wedding. And that didn't happen overnight. This took probably about 9 months to get to that place. However, that was really the aha moment where we were like, okay, we've actually figured out something we like to call leveraged income instead of passive income. I think passive income, that term kind of attracted me to the wrong opportunities. I was just looking for that quick, pill that I could take to solve the problem. And, outside of, funds and things like that, it doesn't really exist, right? Most things take some time to build, like a house. You got to build the walls, you got to build the roof, you got to install the things. But then once it's built, you can live in it for years to come. And that's really what we found on Amazon was that it was leveraged. Like it was something that we could build. And after some time, it could be very passive, not completely, but it could be highly leveraged with our time. And so that's really where we kind of had the aha moment of like, okay, we found something now that like we can make more money than we're making here without any time.
I
And
love
that's
it.
really like where the transition started, where we started to lean more into that and started to retire out of the weddings. But it took a while. It took a while to be fully into that.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you said leverage and not passive, because I think the term passive income can be misleading because most passive income still requires a little bit of your time and energy. Even if you're managing a real estate project remotely and you never actually visit the property, you still need to work with the property manager. You still need to work with your accountant
Oh,
and do
yeah.
all that stuff. Like, it still takes time. And you mentioned the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I mean, it's called the 4-Hour Work Week because he worked 4 hours a week on it, right? So it's still
Yeah.
not zero, right? I think maybe the only true passive income is like if you own a dividend yielding stock, right?
Yeah,
Where it's like that
exactly.
money's coming
Yeah.
in the mail or whatever. Or you join some syndication where somebody else does literally all the work. But even then, you still have to put some time into it, especially up front. So I like the fact that you're using the term leveraged income, because I think that is a better, more realistic definition, because you're leveraging your time and you're leveraging the money you're putting in and you're leveraging your abilities and your assets. But I got to ask, where did you get the idea for that toy, and where did you get the toys?
Yeah. So Chelsea gave me one for Christmas, actually. I don't know what year this was. It had to have been 2015, maybe. She gave me one. I think I had one in college, and me and my roommate would like battle with it, like kind of like you would play, what do you call pig with the basketball? You like do a trick shot and the other person has to match it. We would just play around with that thing and make bets, and I would lose money all the time, basically. And so she bought me one, kind of like he'd be in. I'm just into that type of thing, just like I love the solo challenging things like skateboarding, things that's like, it's you against you. And this little toy, it's so silly, but it's very hard, And so she got me one for Christmas and we were on a vacation and I just got addicted to this thing. I was just like playing with it all the time and like trying to learn the next trick. And, it just was kind of this random thing. And also that year, I always had it as a goal. I had like a list on my phone, and maybe you're similar, like of ideas. Like I just had like these are $1 million ideas. I just have them all the time. And a lot of them were products. They're physical products. And also we were in the commercial videography space. So we started shooting Kickstarter videos. That was like a niche we kind of got into on the side of weddings. And so I'd see all these founders launch products on Kickstarter and we'd shoot the videos. And I just always had this thought in my head, like, how do they make a product? Like, how do they actually get this made? And so that year after Chelsea bought me that toy, we were like, that was one of my New Year's resolutions, basically. It's like, I'm going to figure out how to make a product. And I don't care if I get scammed or we fail. Like, I just want to learn this process. And so I learned about Alibaba, and I just went on there and basically found a manufacturer for these types of products, customized it a little bit. And I remember, I think our first order was like only $500. And we were selling, it wasn't even the toy, it was like accessories to the toy, because I couldn't even afford to buy like the whole toy, And so I remember ordering $500 of inventory off Alibaba, and I just thought, like, I for sure just got scammed, like for sure I'm never seeing return on that money. But I just like was like, I have to learn somehow, And I remember when we got the box in the mail, I was like, okay, it was real. Like, I made a product, And that was really what it was all about. I just wanted to learn. And at the time, we just started selling it on Instagram. We just had a kind of a theme page around the kendama sport. The people that are really into kendama, they're like really into it, right? So anytime there's a new brand, a new thing, it's exciting because it's a really small niche, And so we got a lot of followers really quickly, and we would just sell pretty much off Instagram. So we'd be doing the wedding thing and the Kickstarter thing, and then at night be packing orders and shipping it. And so that was really fun, but also not leveraged, right? Like, it was just more work. At the end of our normal day, we did another job, right? And packing, shipping orders. And so in that time frame, I think I heard through a podcast actually about Amazon FBA. So most people know what it is, but if you aren't familiar, it stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. And it's basically like Amazon offers it to anyone. Actually, 60% of the products you buy on Amazon are sold by third-party sellers, people that are taking advantage of FBA. And basically Amazon says, hey, you can ship us your inventory, and then you can list it on Amazon. And when an order comes in, we'll pack it up and ship it to the customer. Just pay us a fee. And so when I heard that, and I had been packing orders every night and putting on labels and doing trips to the postal office, I was like sold, right? So I threw them up on Amazon, and I was just like, okay, let's see what happens. So I ship in a couple hundred units, and this was 2017. And this was the era of the fidget spinner. Do you remember the fidget spinner?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes. So the fidget spinner kind of hit the internet by storm, right? And like they were everywhere. Every kid had one of these things. And we weren't selling fidget spinners, but we were selling a fidgety toy, you know? So we just started to optimize that Amazon listing with some fidget keywords, right? Fidget toy, fidget toy. Like it wasn't spinners, but we just started using those keywords. And that was the thing that like really we started to see not
Yeah.
just the power of the leverage of Amazon's fulfillment, but the power of Amazon's traffic, right?
So yeah, and I think now you're getting into what would have been my next question is how did you promote it? Because Amazon, I
Yeah.
mean, there's millions of products on there, and I think what you're getting into is you have to bid for the keywords. So if somebody goes into Amazon, starts typing in a keyword, you want your results there, and so you got to pay Amazon to be listed near the top of those results, right?
Yeah, you got it. I like to give an analogy for your real estate people. On Amazon, there's kind of beachfront property, and that's that first page. Like when you go to Amazon, just think of your own behaviors. I literally just bought a slow kid sign, because like we have a long driveway and like the UPS guy will just barrel in here, right? So Chelsea's like, buy one of those signs that says like, slow down, kids. So I just went to Amazon, searched it, and where did I buy from? I buy from the front page, right? When you search, 80% of people buy off that front page. Unless you're like really looking for something specific, then you'll go to like page 2, 3, 4. But that first page, especially the top of the first page, that's what we call like beachfront real estate. And so we kind of figured this out, like we fell into it with that kendama toy and the trend that was happening. But as soon as that started happening, we started making about $600 a day on Amazon. And that's where we were like, okay, whoa, this little side hustle now is producing real money. Let's reverse engineer how we did that. Because we can't predict trends or what's going to be the next hot thing. But we did find that there's software that'll show you actually what people are searching for on Amazon.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
so we started looking at that software and going like, okay, if we can figure out where there's demand, but there's not great products, all we got to do is make great products, put them on the shelf in front of that demand. And that's really I love Amazon because it has the time leverage of the shipping, but it's got the traffic leverage of like, you don't have to drive traffic. People go to Amazon all the time to buy. They're not there to just hang out, right? So that's really like our method in like a really short nutshell is we just look for where's their demand and we just like supply that demand and we make it better.
And is that typically your go-to? So you first, sounds like you do some market analysis on Amazon, figure out what products are selling, where's the demand. You try to find that product on Alibaba, you try to see what the margins are, and then you try to see, okay, is there enough margin for me to order 1,000 pieces or 2,000 or whatever? Yep. And is that typically how you do it?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, there's some nuances to it. Sometimes we'll go source outside of Alibaba because everyone has access to Alibaba. So sometimes we'll source elsewhere. Sometimes we get creative, but typically 99% of people that work with us, they have no product ideas when they come in. And if they do, typically they're not a good fit for Amazon. We got to like talk them off the ledge. They're not brand new inventions, right? They're existing products. If you think of Amazon like a giant grocery store, each search term, right? Like I searched slow children play sign, right? Like that is an aisle on Amazon. And so we look for aisles where there's a lot of foot traffic, which is the traffic, but there's not great products on the shelf. So if I searched slow children sign, play sign, and like there was only 3-star products, but I saw that those products were still selling, I'd go, wow, there's opportunity here. I just got to make a 5-star product. I got to put it on the front page. You can pay to get on the front page, but once you get enough sales, it'll organically just live there. And that's truly like what we're looking for. We're looking for demand, not great products. Let's make Amazon a better place, serve the customer, help Amazon win, and we win to really be the middleman, the middle family between those two dots.
How long does a product typically live? Because you mentioned fidget spinners, which is a bit of a fad, right? Like it goes way up and then everyone wants one and then it's not cool anymore. What's the typical life cycle of a product?
Yeah, there's like really a handful of categories. You got what we call evergreen products that are they're not going away, right? They've been around, they're going to be around, and they might shift slightly, but they're pretty much evergreen. They're always around. Those are definitely the best type of products to look for. Then you got seasonal products. And we had a guy, Spencer, come into our program and he launched like a water balloon type product, right? And that thing crushed during the summers, but in the winters, it's very slow. So it's a different financial planning thing. But I mean, he would make multiple 6 figures in a couple months over the summer, and then it'd be crickets the rest of the year, right? So then he's got to buy a bunch of inventory in the winter and, say wait up for the summer. So that's a seasonal product. And then of course you have trends, right? And what's really nice is there's software that'll show you the search volumes on Amazon and also show you the history. So you can see, is this thing trending up over the last 5 years? Is it just like a spike because some influencer on TikTok mentioned it once and then now it's dying? Or is it, slowly decreasing, right? We had a product, we were selling our third product. We sold letter boards. So they're like these like felt wooden boards that have like these little letters you can stick into it. I don't know. They're kind of like old school, they would use them to like make signs at church and stuff. Like you just stick a little felt letter, or it's a felt board, but you stick these plastic letters in and you can have it spell anything. So we were selling those and those did really well for a season. And then as soon as I saw them in Walmart pop up for $10, I was like, this is over, because when we started selling them, we sold them for like $40. As soon as I started seeing them become more mainstream, kind of the trend was coming up. And I saw Walmart source them and put them in their store for $10. I was like, okay, we should sell this thing out and move on, right? So you do have products like that do a good 2-3 year run, and then you'll start to feel it, and you're like, okay, time to pivot.
And how many years have you been doing Amazon FBA now?
Over 6 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, over 6 years.
Right on. So you're a veteran. Cool. All right. So let's talk about the Rainmaker family. So at one point you said, hey, this is working great for us. Why don't we teach other people how to do it?
Yeah. This is honestly right at the beginning because we were so excited after having that wedding breakthrough. We honestly just told our wedding friends because the wedding industry is very seasonal. Like if you don't plan for the winter, you get really squeezed, right? Because you make a lot of money in the summer and then you got to wait, right? And so every year we'd have kind of in January, we'd just be like freaking out about the next year. Like, oh no, our bookings can come or they not. And so we honestly went to a lot of our photographer friends and we were like, guys, like, because I remember that next season after we had the Amazon business, it was like the weight was lifted off. It was like, okay, no, we're going to say no to this client. It's not the best fit, right? And we were like a little more picky on the wedding side. We got to shoot more dream weddings because we had this other income coming in. We didn't feel as like, oh, we have to get it. We have to lock in every client, So we shot less and less weddings. And really immediately I found that I just learned best by teaching, just by like working it out. So I just started a free Facebook group and I was just like, hey, anyone who wants to learn this thing, I'm just going to I'm not an expert. I'm just like a couple chapters ahead. I'll just share what I know. And honestly, I think there was probably 100 people in that group. 2 people did something with it. Like 2 people actually did something with it. One of them was my mom. And I mostly did most of it for her. Like she followed along and be like, calling me constantly, but she launched a couple products. And the other one was this gal named Sharon. And she was a wife of a wedding videographer. And Sharon went on to build a business that did $100,000 a month. That's just insane. So multi-million-dollar Amazon business. Took her like 2-3 years to get there. But I mean, started absolutely broke, really just bootstrapping it. But she's just a go-getter. And that was once we started seeing the impact of like, okay, when people actually do this, it can really work. And we just started sharing with friends, started sharing with friends of friends, friends of friends of friends. And before we knew it, we had a coaching program, right? And it was a thing. So, but it really started organically, kind of just out of us being excited about it, sharing with our industry friends, and then sharing with our kind of inner circle. And then it grew from there.
I believe right now your coaching program is called the Remote Business Bootcamp. Tell us, how long does it take? How do you apply and what does it cost to go through it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we have an entry level kind of like, see if this is a good fit. I think a lot of people are like, hey, just do Amazon, right? And then they just sell you a multi-$1,000 program. I like to test people and make sure it's a good fit before you go in, because it's not just something you do lightly and like, oh, I'm going to start an Amazon business. It's something that takes dedicated focus for a season, right? You can't just, let's come back to the gardening analogy because this is the Money Seed podcast. You can't just plant a plant and then leave, right? And then just never nurture it, never come back and check on it, pull some weeds. And so we really want to make sure it's a good fit for people. So the Remote Business Bootcamp is a 5-day experience that's like 1 hour per day to really get you up to speed with like how the business works and see if it's a good fit. Like if you can show up once a day for an hour a day, you probably have enough time to do this business. And so it's a really good kind of qualifier to see like, does it interest you? Or do your eyes glaze over when we start pulling up the software and showing you all that? Or are you getting really excited and getting a lot of life from it? So we take people through that 5-day process. They learn a lot of cool stuff. And then a percentage of those people will go on with us further to like a full year-long coaching program. And it ranges from anywhere, like the bootcamp is $47 currently. And then the coaching program, we have packages that range upwards of $8,000 to $10,000. But with that, they're getting one-on-one coaching, they're getting group coaching, they're getting software. We've kind of we started low at the free Facebook group, and every year we've just added more and more and more to it. So it's a pretty robust curriculum now that has a lot that comes with it. So that's where the price comes from.
Realistically, how long does it take to set up an Amazon business? Because you first mentioned that, well, obviously I imagine you're going to create an LLC. That takes time. Then you're going to have to do some research and find the demand in the product, find someone on Alibaba, take that scary step where you said, you're going to send some money to some dude
Wire
overseas
the
you've
money.
never met.
Yeah.
By the way, every business has that moment where you have to send a whole bunch of money to someone you don't know or someone you barely met, right? Any kind of investment or business is just part of it. But then, okay, so you send the money and then it probably takes a month or two to get the product and ship it or whatever. And then you get all the photos and product write-offs for Amazon. Then you got to send it to the Amazon warehouse. Amazon has to receive it. How long does it take from the time you start to the time you're like, hey, I'm on Amazon, check it out. And look, I just made my first sale.
Yeah, I would say our average student timeline is about 9 months, 8 to 9 months. We have seen people go really fast. We've seen people do 4 months, but usually if they're doing really fast like that, usually they have some sort of connection to like stateside, like they're launching a paper product and they know the printer, And so, but if we're working with manufacturers all over the world, Mexico, China, Indonesia, right? It takes time for you to order a sample of the product, make sure it's a good fit. And we go through a couple iterations of the sample, order your bulk order, do a product inspection, all those things. We have a lot of connections to make it faster and make it more leveraged. If you're short on time, we have sourcing agents who can help you find the product. We have teams that can take the photos for you. We have, shipping partners and things like that to help take it, some of the time consuming stuff off your plate, but it is a good 6 to 9 month commitment before you're launched on Amazon. And then you have to reinvest in the business to keep making money, right? Sometimes people launch one product and they expect it to change their life. And sometimes it does. Like Spencer, I told you his story. One product, $400,000 in sales on that product over the summer. And he started on welfare basically when he came into our program, sold PlayStation 5s like when they were hot. He would go early to the stores and buy them and resell them to create the money to buy his first inventory. So just scrappy guy, changed his life. You know what I mean? We have a lot of stories like that, but I always like to caution people too. All business comes with risk, right? There's no just get rich quick pill you can take. And so it does take commitment. And a lot of times our 6-figure students, we have someone crossing 6 figures about every 14 days in our program now in gross top line sales. But a lot of those students have 2 or 3 products, right? So they've kind of done this process 2 or 3 times to really grow to that level.
And how much money does someone need to start one of these? Because I imagine you got to pay for inventory upfront.
Yeah. Come back to the money mindset side of things. I really believe that I'll give you a real answer, but I'll give you the mindset answer. So the real answer is I would say if a friend came to me and they're hey, I got $10,000. Should I start an Amazon business? I would say in today's day and age, to really win on Amazon, it's nice if you have 15 to 25, to be honest, because the type of products you can go after are just a lot higher quality than the products you're going to get under 10,000. There's just so much more competition because anyone with a, small savings account can do that. But if you have 15 to 25, it opens up higher priced products, higher quality products, bigger margins. And also opens up opportunity to do multiple products, which diversifies your risk a bit. So that's what we recommend, 15 to 25. That being said, come back to the money mindset. Sharon is a great example. I shared that story. I believe resourcefulness is better than resources, right? Some people have the resources, they have the money in the bank, but we're big believers in the how can I mindset, right? I, for years, lived in the I can't mindset. And when things would come out, I can't, I don't have it, I can't, right? But when I started shifting to a how can I mindset, you start to get really creative with how could you do this thing, right? Could you, do it on a credit card? Yes, some people do. Some people are against that. Could you find someone else with the money who doesn't want to put any time into it and you put the time into it and you do a partnership, right? They are an inventory investor. They pay for the inventory. You do all the time and the learning and the running. And we had a student do that, Linda. She didn't have the money, but she knew someone with a product already. He was selling on Shopify and he was doing well, but he didn't have the product on Amazon. And so she went to Amazon, used their software. She saw people were searching for his brand name on Amazon and then buying competitor products. So she just went to him and was like, hey, I just went through this Amazon like boot camp. I'm not an expert, but I can help you do this. And she basically got hired by him. So she got a job. Then she built him $1 million Amazon store. It still does over $1 million in sales a year. And she used that to learn. And then she launched her own brand, which is now just $1 million in sales as well, which is insane. So that's like, if you said I can't because you don't have the money, then you just held yourself back from all that, right? So I think the biggest thing I'd encourage your listeners with, regardless of the money, if you want to do anything, real estate, like you want to do Amazon, you want to like buy a 52 unit like apartment complex, resourcefulness is the key. Like you can make it happen. Sometimes it's just lack of knowledge. And so I had someone once say like, you just come up with a piece of paper and you just start writing like, just write 100 ways that you could come up with the money. It's going to be really hard, but you're going to get really creative. And by the time you get to like the 35, something's probably going to click and you're just going to have a crazy idea. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that. Like, it's so simple. There it is. There's the money to do this thing.
Yeah. And you got to be resourceful. You have to be resilient. You have to be persistent. I have my own little side hustles going, and I can tell you, you can never predict what kind of challenges and problems you're going to run into. Like you're just going to have some random problem pop up on a Monday and you have like 2 days to fix it. And yeah, you just have to think outside the box. You got to be resourceful and you gotta solve it. You have no choice, right? And that's the story of like every business ever.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we do a lot of we have a Mindset Monday. So every Monday we do mindset coaching because it's so common that people quit at the first couple walls they hit. But we're like, no, this is normal. Like, and it's like, no, this is normal. And your brain wants to keep you safe and like, go back to like just comfortability. Well, let's work through this thing. How can I? Like, that's a big thing we say a lot because Amazon, could snap their fingers and change something. They do pretty much every 6 months. And then there's people in the community freak out. And we're like, no, we got this. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to do it now. And we figure it out, and we've just been doing that consistently. So it's nice doing that in community too. I'd be the other tip I give people is like, get around other people that share that mindset because there's going to be days where you just can't see it. You're just like fully, I can't right now, and so you got to get around other people who like, no, you can. Let's think through this together. That's been so helpful for me and Chelsea in our business journey because we've definitely had those moments.
Stephen, you not only have cool products on Amazon, you also have a book on Amazon. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, the book, The Rainmaker, that's called the Family Freedom Challenge. It's based on one of our online trainings. We basically took it and put it into book form. So it does have a lot of like screenshots and stuff in there. It's a very hands-on book. And the idea is you can kind of take it one chapter a day, learn the topic and actually learn some of the software, learn the method of how we sell on Amazon, how to source products. You'll see things in there like the scripts we use to talk to manufacturers. So it's a very hands-on book. And we launched it through KDP, which is also another way you can make money on Amazon without having to order thousands of books. KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, you can just upload your manuscript of the book. And then when an order comes in, Amazon prints it and ships it. So you don't make as much profit doing it that way, but it is totally leveraged, which we like. And so that book's more of an educational thing for us. It's not a make money thing. So it's like, let's just put it out there via KDP and get in the hands of people that like that, the hands-on, just like sometimes it's nice to look at the thing and then look at your screen and just do it slow.
Stephen, I love your story and congrats on your success. Where can people reach out to you and where can people learn more?
Yeah, check out our podcast, The Rainmaker Family Show. Chelsea and I have an episode once a week. So if you're listening to this, you're a podcast listener. So definitely check out the show. And then rainmakerfamily.com is our main site. I would say if you want to connect with us on social media, kind of see behind the scenes, the Rainmaker Family on Instagram is like our main publishing platform where we put a lot of stuff out. So you got the Rainmaker Family Show, you got rainmakerfamily.com, and you got Rainmaker Family on Instagram.
Yeah, Stephen, thank you very much for joining us today. I love your story.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Money Seed Podcast. Please remember to click like and subscribe. It really helps spread the message to other investors and it helps attract new viewers to the show. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much.